Hello engineers, welcome back to another episode of Automate It. We are now 35th on the global leaderboard after today's update. We're 4 levels down in World 2, so today we're going to work on level 5, how to train your magnet. Apparently we're unlocking fluids and gases in this one, so that'll be interesting. Alright, what do you have for us? Let's open this up. It's actually not massive, and there's not too many different ways to do this. This one makes 30 per minute, this one makes 60 per minute. Which one do we need? So we have to maintain delivering 240 magnetic induction coils per minute. 240? So we need 4 of these dissolution chambers. These things are massive. Where's our delivery output? There's our receiver. So maintaining 240 magnetic induction coils per minute for 60 seconds, completed in a minute 20 or less, so we need to be we've got like 20 seconds to get everything sort of kicked off and started, and using 680 less power, sure. So that means we need basically 4 of these giant puppies. How does this thing even work? It's got like 3 outputs. It's got a liquid output, it's got like 2 liquid outputs, and like 5 different inputs. The liquid output's on the 2nd floor and the input is on the 1st floor. These things are insane. Let's just try to make one of these. I haven't seen this material before either. Aluminum. So we just need to press that. Each dissolution chamber just needs 60 and 60 of these. But at the end of the day, we're going to need way more of these. So 240 of that will turn into 240 of this. But we will need to press all of it. So it makes sense we want to split this into 2 first. Then we need to press it. But it can only press 60 per minute each. 120. It's a bit confusing, but I think we only need 2 of these. That gets us our 240 of the rod. 240 of the rod will be able to supply all 4 of these machines. Similar process for the cutter. I don't know why we need 240 aluminum. Maybe we need it for other things. No, that just needs salt and water. Let's just focus on the processes that we know first. This just needs 2 cutters. And that gets us our 240. Of course, we need to split all these into 4 belts of 60 for the ultimate thing. Then we've got to work on this crazy process. What the heck is all this? These are all new processes. So we need more dissolution chambers to take water, which doesn't have a quantity input. This is like infinite water, I guess. And whatever this material is, salt. Salt and water. Wait, let's read these tutorials. Some recipes require liquids and gases. To handle these, you need new machines. We've got fluid pipes and gas pipes now, which uses keyboard binding 2 and 3. But we're probably just doing fluids for now. Unlike items, fluids and gases don't have a volume limit. They can be transported infinitely, provided the machine is stable. Okay. Pipes can be built 3-dimensionally. Upwards, downwards, just like elevators, and anchored similarly to conveyor belts. That looks hard to control, but good to know. If you need to disconnect unwanted pipes, hold the left control to remove them. Okay. And that's it. So I'm going to remove these 4 dissolution chambers. We're going to put 1 dissolution chamber over here because I don't know how much I need. Because does this mean with 60 of this, I produce infinite brine? I'm just going to put the input in here, and then we need a pipe that goes from here to here. To here? Where's the pipe input? How do I go down 1 level? There's a keyboard shortcut I'm missing over here because this needs to connect to this somehow. It works the same way as an elevator with E and Q. So like that. So this now is telling me it produces infinite brine. Is that what that's telling me? Let's assume we're producing infinite brine. Then it needs to go into a biofluxor, whatever that is. Oh my god. I'm just going to use pipes because I don't even know at what height all of this occurs. If you're enjoying the video and you want to support Data Engineer Plays, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to share them in the comment section. Is this not an output pipe? Ah, that's the output pipe. What is this then? This must be the gas pipe. So we can connect the pipe like that. That will produce this thing, chloride and sodium. Sodium, do we need to like dispose of this, or will that clog our system? No idea. But we need another biofluxer to take the water and process that into hydrogen and oxygen. Oh my lord. How do we split this? Just like that. Then we need a biofluxor like that. That produces hydrogen and water, and hydrogen is a gas, goes into a chemical infuser with the chloride. I'm just putting everything and anything everywhere at the moment. So we can put a gas pipe into here. Where's the input? There we go. Gas pipes in, but we also want the chloride in there. Oh man, chemicals get really complex really fast. The chloride is a liquid, right? Is gravity a thing in this game? That's wrong. From biofluxor, hydrogen, and the sodium is coming out of here. So what is chloride? Chloride is a gas? Wait, what happened? I just clicked something and it made this so much easier. What did I press? I pressed something over here. I pressed the chloride button and it like, oh, I collapsed the chloride part. Right. I was like, what the heck's going on? All right, so we've got chloride, which is a gas, I guess. Is chloride actually a gas? Sorry, my chemistry knowledge is not there right now. So I'm going to build a gas pipe this way then. And that is making now hydrogen chloride, which needs to go into a biofluxor. How do I know if it's a gas or a liquid? I mean, this Bernie thing looks like a gas and the droplet thing looks like a liquid. There we go. And that's making infinite liquid hydrogen chloride. Then that just goes into 4 different biochambers to make the final product. All right, that's cool. We know what needs to be done now. We just need to do it not horribly like this. Let's delete everything that we've done over here. Start again. I'm just gonna plot out where my 4 dissolution chambers are gonna be, and I want to pair them up. Why do I want to pair them up? Because they output at 60, which means, for example, we can do something like that, and that will be 2 of them, and also their input can be split like this. So now, for example, I can get that going in there, right? That makes sense to me, but it would make more sense to put them like here, because this is where all the input comes from, right? Oh, this is so difficult. I have this cool idea of doing something like this. Bear with me. If we do 4 like this, then we can put splitters here, 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 and then we'll split one somewhere else, right? But essentially, what does that mean for us? It means we can take one of these belts and say put it into here, and then let's just put like an elevator over here and an elevator over here. Something like that. Then this needs to split into here. One of these needs to split into here. And in theory, that should get us everything that we need, right? We're getting the input correct. This one needs to go out a different way. So like here and here. Now, if we hook up the elevators like that and like that, that should get us all the correct inputs. See, we're getting this in all of them, in theory. Why isn't this one going in? Like that. So all of these should now have both of the solid input they need, except for this one, because there's something heavily wrong over here. Like that. Yeah, now these 4 machines now have all of their solid inputs sorted out. All they need is their liquid input, which is the liquid hydrogen chloride. And the liquid hydrogen chloride is a liquid. So let's just get a water pipe going first around the back. How do I know what's their input? It doesn't matter what their input is. So we can join like 2 of these, and then we can join like 2 of these, and then just let's just pipe this out. Like, we can probably pipe up and over something, but let's just pipe it out to the side for now and say, as long as we get this liquid into here, we're all gravy, right? Then at the end of the day, these things need to come out of here into 2 belts and 2 belts and be fed into here. Right? That's the final output. Now we just need to rebuild the liquid part of this. So let's start again with the dissolution chamber. Now, does liquid travel instantly and I should put everything very close to thing, or does liquid take just as long to travel as solid stuff? Well, all things that we need to learn. But for example, if I put this over here and then we belt in the salt and we liquid in this thing like that, that's one of our liquids. And then in a biofluxor, I can't directly connect it. No, I can. So I stick the liquid input into the liquid input of this. That should give me my chloride gas straight away without any sort of extra belts. And then I need a biofluxor for the water. So I'll turn it this way. And then we can belt the water in like that. And then we need the hydrogen gas from there to go into a chemical infuser. So something like this. There's one. And there's the second. And now we've got this thing, which needs to go into a biofluxor. That tells me I want to flip this around a little bit. Let's build the biofluxor first, because that's the final component we need. And I want to turn it like, say, this way. And to the back of the biofluxor, we want to put in the chemical infuser. And we want to connect the gas output to the gas output. Like that. Then we just need to simply connect this and this. And that gets our liquid output. That liquid output then needs to connect into here. So we need to sort of hop over. Like the easiest way to hop over would be to go upwards, right? Up and over and across here. But I can connect it to this pipe somehow, like that. And there we go, that works. This is the jankiest pipe connection ever. And obviously this is not whatever. This says pay attention to product types. Liquid have a drop icon, gas has a flame icon. Fluid pipes will never carry gas and vice versa. Thank you for that. But in theory, this should be a working system now. Let's run it and find out. Yeah, I feel like the gas in the liquid fills instantly because things are automatically being transported, but it's not stable. It's fluctuating a lot. Why is it fluctuating so hard? It keeps fluctuating. Does it tell me why it's fluctuating? It's the aluminum that keeps flashing. The aluminum is coming out at 240 and then it stops, which is so stupid. Idle spawn time 5 seconds. All right. That means I have to move everything down one tile because I need extra splitting and merging of this. So I need to split it out twice and then merge it into one belt. That's so silly. All right, so we'll just move everything down one tile. All right, well, let's just rebuild everything then in that case. So a couple of things to note before we do our rebuild. We're way over power either way. So whatever we're doing here, because these all use power, right? Yeah, so we need to shorten the gas part of this as well. So let's figure out a better way to do this. I want to cut all of this stuff, but I don't want to cut away my my cutters, because that's going to stay, right? Let's start with our dissolution chambers. We'll chuck 2 here, like that. Then they can go in like that. And then we need another 2. Like this and this. But I feel like they need to be as close as possible to here. Just trying to find a good orientation to build these in. But either way, this needs to be double split, which is super stupid. And then they need to be like recombined, like this. Was I using presses? Yeah, I was using presses. So we can put a press here and a press here. And then do something like this. And this. Right? Can we test just this part? If I just deliver this and this, can I prove that this is a constant output now? It's still not a constant output. Oh, it is now. So you see how this is like constant outputting now? Whereas before we were getting breaks in this because of breaks in there. Let me just prove to myself that that is true before I go and rebuild the whole thing for no reason. No. That's not true. Because there's no breaks here either. 120 So if there's no breaks here and there's no breaks here, then what's your problem? I don't get it then. I thought because this thing has a idle spawn time that there is breaks in between, but it's fine. It just basically means that this 240 is actually realistically spawning at 120 and then splitting it in half is perfectly fine. Okay, so that made no difference at all. So let's get our presses going this way now for the 120 and the 120. Then I think these were fine before, but we can maybe build them closer. Not really. The best place for these would be like a center point between here. No. Can we do like 2 going this way and 2 going this way maybe? But then that doesn't benefit from my double splitting, right? Because then we can only do splitters like this and this. And then we'd have to split and then belt that way. I mean, we can try it out. If we just move this out 1 tile, then for example, if we put a splitter here, is this 3 inputs? Yes, that is an input. So if we were to put 1 input into here, we'd have to cross this somehow. I don't feel like this is more efficient because you'd need twice as many elevators to get this done. I still feel like the 4 in the line is the best way to do it because that still benefits from our ability to put these down. So they can share splitters like this, right? Now we just need to get one of these directly in, one of these directly in. One needs to go into here and one needs to go into here. So if I put my splitter over here, how did I do this before that was better? I don't feel like I used that many lifts, right? I actually did use that. We'd have to use that many lifts because there's no way you can get this and this done properly here. So like there, then we put a lift over here and then we put a lift over here. So that gets that done. Then we do our lift here. This is exactly what we had before though. So we haven't improved anything. And then we do that. Can we shave off anything here? We can shift everything back 1 tile. That'll save a bit. So we can shift everything back 1 tile like this. Everything still works. Can we shift it back another tile is the question. No, because of this lift. Just checking they all have their solid inputs. Something is broken though. There we go. 2, 3, 4. 20.8 seconds. Okay, so it takes 20 seconds to get from here to there. Is that what it's saying? So this is pretty much exactly what we had before. Is that good? Because we get 2 really long output belts, but is that better? This is all because we're trying to put 4 together in a line. Now, we know that the fluid inputs are instantaneous. So we should try to do this. We're definitely not using this recipe, right? Because this recipe is easier to sort of do, but we're only getting 30 per minute, which means we would need double of this, which doesn't make sense. So we're definitely doing this process. Dissolution chamber, we can just directly pop it on there. Do these cost the same amount as belts? Belts are cheaper than pipes. Oh, belts are cheaper than pipes. So we want to minimize our pipes. So really we want our dissolution center over this side then. And then we want to pipe it in like that. That's the minimum amount of pipe. But then we'd have to belt the salt in some really weird janky way. Oh, this is so difficult. But either way, because the salt and the water are on opposite sides, either we bring the water all the way over or bring the salt all the way over. It seems cheaper to bring the salt because belts are cheaper than pipes. Okay, so we would need a really long belt that goes this way, which is super expensive already, but cheaper than running a pipe, right? Why can't I do this? It doesn't like that. I have to do something like this. That seems a bit silly. Wouldn't we rather do this then? I'm bringing the pipe out because I know I need the water for something else at some point. Okay, that doesn't work. I'm gonna bring it out 1 tile this way then. And then we'll bring it in like that. And then we'll bring in this like whatever, it doesn't really matter. Because we need to pipe out the water for this other part of the process, which is the hydrogen. Once this comes out of the dissolution chamber, it needs to immediately go into a biofluxer like that. And the water needs to be able to go into the other process, which is another biofluxer. So if I bring the pipe up one and across, and then down into the biofluxer, like that, that's a very short water pipe, getting me my hydrogen. The hydrogen and this then needs to go into a chemical infuser to make hydrogen chloride, which now they're very close together. So it would make sense to bring it back this way, probably going this way. And then we can bring a really tight pipe like this. Then we can turn that into a biofluxer like that. That uses a lot less pipe, and that gets us our final liquid, which is reasonably close to here. Is gas pipe the same cost as liquid pipe? Yes. And then we just need to liquid into here. So we want the minimum amount of liquid pipes, which means joining them somewhere around here, and then up and over here, and then down a couple of levels, or down one level, and then out through this side. So this is working again, but is it fluctuating? Why is this fluctuating where it wasn't before? That's super annoying. That's like, I literally just tested that this is a continuous flow. Why isn't it a continuous flow anymore? I mean, we're very close to the thing. We can optimize this down. We just got to fix this thing. That's super weird because we literally tested it before and it was a continuous flow. I feel like I'm being gypped over here. Like if I just delete all of this and we once again get this going out and get that going out and just test this flow, it's no longer continuous. Why? It was I literally just tested this before and it was continuous. All right, let's test this again and see if that's continuous. So you do need this to make it continuous. This game is super glitchy because then I removed this and then I put this in and then it was still continuous. And that's when I came to the conclusion that it is indeed continuous. Is it because of the distance it's traveling? Oh my god. That's continuous, but for some reason this is not continuous, even though they travel the same distance. I need to work this out. That is not continuous because the distance traveled here and the distance traveled here are not the same. Oh my god. That's such a mind screwy concept. So if I undo all of that, we're almost there guys, don't worry. If we undo all of that, what we're essentially saying is if I simply move my press over to this side and make sure that these are both traveling the same distance, then it works. Oh, but then this thing is in the way. I'm just gonna test this theory, right? So I move this out of the way, like that, and do that. Then I can link this up to this, and in theory that should all be continuous. Let's test and find out. It's not continuous. What? That makes no sense whatsoever. I swear this is a bug. Let me delete all this. And let me test, is this continuous? As where there's a kink here, it's not continuous. What? But if it's straight, it is continuous. That doesn't make any sense. This is fine. That's still not continuous anymore. That makes so little sense. But this is definitely continuous, as we can see. And this is continuous. So it needs a buffer belt distance, is what we're saying, for it to be continuous. It needs like a little bit of buffering distance. They don't need to be the same length, right? Is what we're saying. So if I put my thing here, this screws it up. So yeah, this one's continuous, but this one is breaking. If we put it here with 2 buffer, there's less breakage, right? And as long as, it doesn't matter if there's kinks, there just needs to be a buffer distance in the belt. So then that just means I need a storage amount. Oh, but storage amount takes power. Okay, I see. Undo everything. Okay, this was working, right? Let me just test this works. Why isn't this working? Nothing's coming out of here. Okay, so this is working, but because of the in and out of this, it's not working. So what we need to do, instead of making it super complicated, is simply store an amount. It takes some power, which sucks, but if we store like, alright, let's just use all our power, that's fine. But with the storing of the amount, why isn't anything coming out? Do I need an item filter now that I'm using this? So we need a storage amount of like this much, and now you can see how we are maintaining the 240. Finally. Amazing. Okay. That was what we were missing. That took a lot of investigation, but we figured it out. Now we just got to do it in 1:20 or less and use 680 power or less. Gotcha. Alright, so we're going to have to re-engineer this whole thing now. Now, looking at our time, it's not too bad. Right? Our used time is not too bad. And our used power is, well, it's extremely high because we're storing unnecessary amounts of stuff. If we switch this storage to, I think it was like 30 something, this thing uses an extra 10 power. What if we just store like 12 items? Does this still work? Seems to still work, even if we just store like 12 items, so it doesn't have to use up too much power. Yeah, it still works. Storing just like a tiny amount of storage in here, just fixes it. So now we just need to optimize this whole situation. And I still like what I've done here. Just probably, how much power do we need to optimize down for? We're using, yeah, 690 and we're 4 seconds off. The speed is a lot harder to optimize than the power. So what's taking so long for this process to get started? Let's have a look again. So the aluminum is almost automatic, but this copper is taking forever to get to here. Let's see how many seconds it takes for it to like whir up. There, it did it by 105. So we start on 140 seconds and we have 20 seconds for the whole machine to kick up. So by 120, we need it to hit the 240 mark. And I believe when it hits the 240 mark is when this happens. If we watch it again, as soon as this copper hits, we hit 240, but we're like a few seconds short of doing that on time. And that's because of this copper having to travel all the way down there. So it doesn't matter how optimized we do the rest of our process, it's going to be the shortest common denominator. Like the weakest link in our chain is going to determine the speed of our time for this level. So what we need to do is probably average out the distance, basically, between this. We need to shorten this distance over here. How can we do that though? I think I figured out a way to do some stuff better. So I think the key is to note that these inputs actually can be input from any of these three, so we don't need to put it out at the edge. So we can get to this belt a little bit tighter. Let's delete this belt for now so we can see what we're doing. What I'm thinking is, instead of doing it this way, why don't we do our split like this? Then we can input this one that way, leaving this little slot perfect for an elevator. That brings the entrance a little bit closer to here. Now, I'd like my belt to just go straight into here. So maybe we can do something with this one too. Using the same logic, maybe we can get our elevator going like this. That way this one can just go straight, and when it comes out, it can just go backwards into here. Now this can do a straight path all the way over to this side, and we can make the elevator a bit shorter. We don't have to use a super long one, right? Now, is the entrance better on this side or along the back? Has to be along the back, right? Like that. That way we can have a slightly shorter lift, and I think the shorter lift makes it a little bit faster as well. So that kind of works. Now, why does this hate everything? Right, it's not meant to go in. It's meant to go into here. There we go. That sorts out this side, right? And that should make things slightly faster. Now, in terms of our power usage, the other thing I was thinking is what's delaying the thing is the salt. While the liquid is traveling automatically, the liquid can't start up until this super long conveyor moves the salt into here. So why don't we move this into this little tight space that we have here? So I'm going to delete this piping over here, and then we're going to move this over to this side. I think that makes a lot more sense. In fact, why don't we put the output, if we flip this, then we can put the output right here, right? And if we put the output right here, that way our two water pipes can be a lot closer, and it removes this crisscrossing that we were dealing with before. So now we can do a water pipe like this, and then it can go straight into there, and then also around the back and up into there. That's a much tighter water pipe, right? And that gets us our liquids. In terms of it coming out through here, we need to get this piping over here. So if we get rid of where this is, I don't want to get rid of it. I just want to move this out of the way for now, because this piping is inefficient as well. Oops, I don't want to delete all of it. I just want to delete like some of it. So this thing still needs to be electrolyzed. So we've got to get rid of this. This electrolyzer thing still needs to go somewhere here, and it can only go here, and I will need some piping over here. Like that. That way it creates the two gases that we need. With the two gases that we need to now put it through this thing. So where is the most efficient place to put this thing? I'll put it down, but then I'm gonna have to route the output around. So probably the best place to put it is just like here. That way we can gas that straight in and then gas that straight in, right? That's a bit longer, but there's not too much I can do about that. It doesn't matter because the liquid needs to go in and it needs to go into here somehow. Then I guess we'll just put this as close as we can here, and then we'll see how that goes for us. Now the liquid needs to travel this way, up, 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 and then across here. That's too far up. I think the best way to get this out is just putting this up this way, and we'll cross over here this time. Lo and behold, it lines up exactly where we need it to. Now if we cut away some of this, oops, if we cut away some of this piping that we don't need, does that save us anything? Like that? Make sure we get rid of all the bits and bobs we don't need. How's our power going? 678. This puts us luckily under our power as well, but can we finish it in a minute 20? Let's run and find out. We want it to start around here. It's close. Yeah. Why is my space use 549? Wasn't it something else before? Oh wait, no. Used power. Space use. That's right. 678 is the best that I can do. That puts us at top 15 on the leaderboard for time. In power, it's 16, and in space, it is 18. So that's all right. Let's have a look at any gallery solutions that's better than this. Anything that uses less power or does it faster. 666. That's pretty low. And also, it's 76 seconds. I can't tell that in minutes. That's 1 minute 16 seconds. That's 1 minute 19 seconds. Let's look at this one. This one's probably the most optimal solution. They've opted with a super long water pipe, but they've put... look, everyone's using this same strategy as me, where they've put their 4 distillers, or whatever this machine is called, right next to each other. That way, I'm assuming on the back there's the splitter pattern that I've done. But by doing it this way, okay, that looks a lot cleaner and must use a lot less power, giving them more power to pipe this water all the way to the other side. There's probably even more efficient ways to do this. But yeah, that's pretty good. Look at this little pattern. It looks very phallic shaped, but I mean, if it works, it works. It's a better solution than mine. Very good. All right.